So just because you know Greek doesn't mean you know the Bible. So, and this, man, I tried to listen to this. This so-called Greek professor gets to Romans 9:1, and the first thing out of his mouth is stupid, as if Paul wishes himself accursed so that his fellow kinsmen would be saved. That's stupid. And then he says, well, Paul is reflecting Moses or something, some crazy idiocy like that. Well, anyone with half a brain that reads Romans 9, it reads the book of Romans at all, sees that chapter 1 leads to chapter 2. It's like a succession. Leads to chapter 3, leads to chapter 4, leads to 5, leads to 6, leads to 7, and leads to 8. And 8, what he's talking about in chapter 8, leads to 9. So that very first sentence that this guy muffed and mutilated, the Greek professor mutilated it. He doesn't understand that it's coming off chapter 8, which is that's what the whole book of Romans does. It goes in succession. So what he says in the very first part of Romans 9 led from what he said or all through Romans 8. And then he didn't even explain any of the Greek words in the first 6 sentences of Romans 9. Well, not that I got to, because after the stuff of Moses was so stupid, I had to shut it down and make this video. So Romans 8 is coming off Romans 7. And all through 8 is talking about the suffering. The suffering and the persecution. Not from the outside and from the inside, because of the new creature. God's making you hate your sin. And he's humbling you by the persecution. And it gets all the way down here. That's exactly what the conforming to Christ is. All this suffering is death to self, narrow way, leaning to the conforming to Christ. And so what shall we say then of all these things, of all this suffering, of all this conforming? Who can be against us? What do you think he's just saying against us because of nothing's happening? That's dumb. No, they're being persecuted. Now, who's persecuting them? Just read the New Testament. It's the Jews. The Jews are throwing him in jail. They're calling the law on him. They're putting him in jail. They're stoning him. It's coming from the Jews, his kinsmen in the flesh. So what should we say then? Who can bring a charge against God's elect? Not those Jews, not anybody. And the Jews are the ones persecuting him. Who condemneth? If Christ is for us, who can be against us? Who can separate it? Who can separate us from the love of Christ? But then he goes to the chapter 9, the very first sentence, coming off this. So who can separate us from all this persecution? Who can separate us from Christ? Not the people persecuting us. But I'm telling you the truth. My conscience bearing witness. I have heaviness in my heart, even though I'm telling you this, for I wish myself anathema. Now, anathema it's not cursed like go to hell. That's not it. It's anatitheme, to place up, like anastasis. Ana means like up. Anastasis means like to raise up. Stasis means staros, crawl, standing. Ana, stand up. Anatitheme, place up, place away, something like that. That's what this Greek word means. It's not a curse like bad stuff. That's not the word. It means like put away, like an oath. So like an oath, you separate. It's like separated. Why they translate it cursed, I don't even know. It's like that sounds like something bad, but it's not. The word itself isn't necessarily something bad. For I wish myself separated, taken away, concerning my brothers, the one persecuting him, the ones he was just the ones he was just talking about, the persecution, the suffering, which is coming from the Jews. The Romans don't care. read the New Testament. Romans don't care. It's the Jews is the ones persecuting him. His brothers in the flesh. The ones that got all this, the Old Testament. Where does this guy get off likening this to Moses? What happened to chapter 8, Mr. Greek professor? What happened to chapter 8? Did you not read chapter 8? Do you not notice that Romans kind of follows a pattern? 1 goes to 2, goes to 3, goes to 4, goes to 5, 8, goes to 9. Did you not notice that, Mr. Greek professor? And so look, it's not as though the word of God hath taken none effect, because not all the Jews are persecuting him, not all the kinsmen in the flesh are lost, not all Israel is Israel. You see that? You see that, Mr. Greek professor? You see how that goes? So I'm not lying. I tell you the truth. Sometimes I wish myself separated from Christ, from preaching the gospel, because of those, my kinsmen, who are persecuting me. Not I wish I was separated and and they would be saved in my place. Like, it's just stupid. It's just dumb. Paul wouldn't do that. He's an apostle of Christ, man. He's not going to wish he were not saved so somebody else could somehow take his place. It's a stupid notion on its face, man. Stupid. No, he's coming off chapter 8. About nothing can separate him. Not even the Jews persecuting him, his fellow kinsmen. Because it's not like all is lost. Because some of his kinsmen are being saved, if you want to put it like that. Not all Israel's Israel. So even though he wishes that sometimes, and he's not lying because that's hard, heck, I wish that all the time. I wish I didn't have to do this sometimes. People hate me. You tell them Christmas is pagan, oh, they hate you. You tell them, hey, water baptism, that's dumb. No crackers and grape juice. They hate you for that. People hate it when you tell them the truth. I wish I didn't have to do that sometimes. It's not fun. And then the rest of Romans 9 follows that. It's all the will of God. And he uses the Old Testament. It was all the will of God. Everything. God's determining it all. So even though I sometimes don't wish for it, hey, God's determining it. It's not up to me that runs or wills. It's up to God. God knows what he's doing. Despite how I feel about it sometimes. See, here is the problem again. I keep saying it over and over and over again. These people, including Greek professors, don't understand what the Bible's about. It's about death to self, conforming to Christ. Chapter 8 is what the Bible's about. And chapter 9 is the reason that it's about. The reason that it's about death to self is because that's how God wills it. They don't understand death to self, narrow way, daily cross. You don't understand, man. You don't get it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be reading Romans 1 like that. 9:1. You wouldn't be 9:1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You wouldn't be reading it like that if you understood death to self, daily cross. In chapter 8. Running off to Moses or something like that. That's just dumb. Just because you know Greek doesn't mean you know the Bible. That's for sure.